How you doing, guys? It's Andrew at Elite Gaming HQ, and I got a PC build for you today. Now this PC is going to be around $700 and it will feature the RX 480. Now if you're wondering what kind of performance you can expect with this PC, you can run games like Doom on Ultra and get a solid 85 frames per second. Well, how do I know that? Because basically I'm going to tell you guys how to build my computer. Now there's going to be a few subtle differences that are not really necessary for the average gamer, but that I have different on my computer because of gaming or personal preference. But with this very PC build, you will get the exact benchmarks in my RX 480 review video and my RX 480 versus Doom Ultra video. Plus the good thing is you'll be able to enjoy an amazing, fast computer that does everything you need it to do. So let's get into the build. Alright, so the first thing is the processor. The processor I use is the FX8350 Black Edition. This processor is great, it does everything I tell it to, and I never have any problems with it. And if you just look around, you can see a lot of other reviewers will tell you the exact same. Price for performance, this processor is amazing. So you can go pick this up on Newegg right now for $159.99, and you'll also get Total War Warhammer for free. And I think when I bought my last one, I got, Hitman for free? So they're always giving free games out with this, just to test your new processor. This thing's totally worth it, and I'm sure it'll do anything you can throw at it. Next, let's talk about cooling. So the cooler on these FX processors is actually really nice. I'll show you some pictures here. This is me holding it in my hand, and you can see it's got heat pipes, it's got a good sized fan. It's actually a really nice cooler. For me, it's a little loud, so I upgrade it, but you'll be perfectly fine with this. You're not doing any overclocking or anything like that, this is great. Now, if you want to spend a little more money, and you want to get another cooler, I'll recommend another personal favorite of mine, is the Cooler Master Hyper TX3. And I got some pictures of that one here, and that is also a very good cooler. This is a great upgrade if you feel like spending the money, and it'll keep your processor nice and cool no matter what you do with it. Now for me personally, in my rig, I have a Corsair H60, which is water cooled, but you don't need to do that. That's a $60 to $80 cooler. For me, I had some extra money laying around and I just wanted to get it. Not necessary at all unless you're overclocking. So I recommend staying with the stock cooler or going with the Cooler Master Hyper TX3 for 18 bucks. Alright, next we have the ASRock 970M Pro 3 Micro ATX motherboard. The reason why I love this motherboard is because it'll fit in any case and has 4 RAM slots. It can use almost any speed RAM. It can use multiple different processors, and you can run dual graphics cards. It has USB 3.0 and USB 3.0 connection for the front. There's a lot going on here. This is a pretty good motherboard. So it's great for Crossfire, Crossfire X. The only thing that I would maybe complain about it is it's PCI Express 2.0. So in theory, if you go with PCI Express 3.0, you might be able to squeeze a little out of it. In all the reviews I've seen where they actually benchmark 2.0 versus 3.0, you're only losing 2 or 3 frames, sometimes 4 frames, and it's not a huge difference. So you could pay the premium to get a different one, but this one will do just fine. Like I said, I got outstanding numbers with the RX 480 with this very motherboard, so I have no problem with it whatsoever. Alright, so the next 2 things we're going to talk about are arguably the most personal preference on a lot of computers, which is going to be your memory and your storage. And both of my suggestions, you could go a different route to save some money, but in my thought process, if you're already spending $700 for a PC, you might as well get some awesome luxurious items in it, which is, for me, 16 gigs of RAM, an SSD, and a storage drive. But let's get into the 16 gigs of RAM first. I currently have Kingston Hyper Fury Black 16 gigs, 2 8 gig sticks. Now you could go and pay $25 or $30 and get 1 8 gig stick if you wanted to do that, because with gaming you're really not necessarily going to need 16 gigs, but it's nice to have 16 gigs because you kind of do need more than 8 in some cases, so why not have it? And then RAM's cheap, so like I said, if you're going to spend $700 on a computer, why not go the extra mile to pay the extra 30 or 20 bucks and get the 16 gigs. An awesome feature of this motherboard is if you ever wanted to go up to 32 gigs, you could buy the same exact RAM set and smack it in there, and then you would have 32. The motherboard supports all the way up to 64 gigs, and that's just crazy. If you're still rocking this motherboard when it's necessary to have 64 gigs, then you're going to be in dire need for an upgrade. And then when we go down to storage, I recommend an ADATA Premier SSD 120 gigabyte to put your operating system on, your basic programs, and maybe a game or 2. Some games really benefit from an SSD, as well as a Western Digital Blue 1 terabyte 7200 RPM drive, and this is where everything else will go. Now the ADATA Premier is a solid SSD. I know this from experience. I personally don't have them in my computer currently right now because we had to swap out. Now my girlfriend's rocking the ADATA, but they still work great. She has a 120 and a 240. Currently I'm rocking the Kingston 120 and 240. You could go with the Kingston as well, the V300 that is, and you'll get relative the same performance. But it's just amazing to be able to press my computer button a few seconds later and I'm right at home screen. And then a 1 terabyte drive for another 50 bucks, 47, 49 it has here for everything else. Alright, so the video card that I use is the Sapphire RX 480. It's the 8GB model, and I picked it up for $239.99. I've had no problems with it, and it's a beast when it comes to running games. But you all know this is what we're going with because that's what the video is about. So if you want to see it in action, you got to check out the videos in the description so you can see how well it's tested with certain games. So let's move on. For PSU, I have an EVGA 600 watt 80 plus bronze certified ATX power supply. Now you don't need a 600 watt, but I have future proofing in mind because one day you might want to run dual graphics cards. This whole system's gonna run under 400 watts. So 600 watts, it's not overkill, it's nice to have the extra, plus you're not going to be taxing it too hard, and 80 plus bronze, plus EVGA makes great power supplies for great prices. And lastly, we got to put it all in a case. The case I recommend that I picked up for $41 is the Cooler Master N200, which I think now it's the N400. I don't know if I'm exactly sure about that, but I think they're basically the same model. But I currently have the N200 for my son's PC, and I have to say that it's a great case for its price. It's not flashy, it's all function, and it's great. So I'll put some pictures up here. My personal PC case, which I love, I adore, and if you have the extra money and you want to spend it on this, I highly recommend it, is the Corsair 240 Air. 240 Air is awesome. The whole thing comes apart. It's more of a cube design than the standard mini ATX tower, but there's just so much going on with it that's beautiful. Maybe I'll just do a review on that case alone because the case is just awesome. But whatever you decide for your case, with this motherboard, you can fit in almost anything. Well, that's everything, and the video is coming to an end. So if you have any questions, just leave them in the comments below. I'll be sure to answer them. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll probably be doing more videos like this and also more tests with the RX 480. So I really appreciate your time, guys. I appreciate you watching the video. I'll try to put all the links to the parts in the description, and I'll talk to you guys next time. It's Andrew at Elite Gaming HQ. Thanks, guys.
Just let me shoot you! No! I've tapped this button for years.
The shotgun rats people.
Surprise, motherfucker! Had body armor on.
Baited you.
Oh, I fucking had you.
You had nothing.
I pulled that
I
trigger.
let you think you had me.
Ugh.
Ah,
I let you think it. That's all it was.
you thought what I made you think.
Exactly.